Okay, it's 9 p.m. and we'll start. Hi guys, my name is Priya Chatterjee Ray, and I graduated from IIM Ahmedabad in April this year. I took the CAT in the year 2020 in slot 1, and I had 100 percentile in VARC. So far, I've been sharing tips, tricks, etc. on YouTube about each of the sections, but I personally feel that VARC is my strongest section. And since a lot of people have been expressing doubts and stuff about this section in particular, I thought I'd film a live attempt at the CAT paper that came in 2022. Now I'm going with what I had most demands for. Most people said CAT 2022 slot 1. Fair point in advance. I haven't looked at this paper before. I don't know the answers to the paper or the questions that are there. If you have them, keep them to yourself. Don't share them while I'm solving, because I want to be able to fairly assess the paper without if I see the answer in the chat, then I'll end up choosing the correct answer anyway. I don't want to do that. I want to give this a fair shot. So yeah. Okay. So I'm going to also disable chats in that case, as some people have suggested. No one. Okay. So I've also disabled chats. If you have any questions or if there are any problems, let me know at the end of the after the end of my attempt. I ideally don't spend the entire 40 minutes solving, so hopefully we should be done before the 40 minutes are up. That said, I'm now going to share my screen and reflect the paper that I'm going to solve. I'm using the 5 years past papers that Oswald Books has. They're the people I keep suggesting you all to use as well. So that's what I'm going to be using. Of course, we can go through their answers later to see if what I got is what they considered correct as well. But let me just wait for my screen to start sharing. Okay, can you react and tell me with like a thumbs up react if you can read what is on my screen? Yeah, okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to set a timer for myself because 40 minutes. And let's see how fast or how well I can solve this. I've been told that CAT 22 slot 1 was the toughest section. And if you all think that this is helpful, I can also solve maybe CAT 2021 tomorrow and CAT 2020 day after, because a lot of people have been saying that. So I can solve CAT 2020, but the problem with that is that I know all the answers to CAT 2020. I personally solved it, and clearly I got 100% percentile in VARC, so I know what the right answers are. So I can tell you more about what my attempt strategy was in the actual exam, but solving it live won't be very helpful. But I can solve CAT 2021 tomorrow if you think that this entire session is helpful to you. Okay. So I'm giving myself a 40-minute timer and let's start. So just follow along what I'm reading, right? Okay. 1 second. Okay. The Chinese have 2 different concepts of copy. Something are imitations, obvious difference, small copies that can be permitted. Second concept is something, they're exact, okay, reproductions of the original, which for Chinese are equal value to the original. It have no negative connotations. I'm just highlighting what I'm reading. I'll try to read louder so that you understand what I'm reading, but basically anything that's not highlighting, I am not taking complete cognizance of that. It's just some background information that I'm filtering out, okay? The discrepancy, misunderstandings of and arguments between China and Western museums. Chinese often send copies abroad instead of originals, okay, in the firm belief that they are not essentially different, okay? Okay, right. Cool. That they are not essentially different. Rejection, Okay. The Far Eastern notion of identity is also confusing to the Western observer. Something shrine is something 100 years old for the millions of Japanese people, but in reality, completely rebuilt. Okay. Cathedral something something in southwest Germany, covered in scaffolding. Almost all of the sandstone from which it is built is very soft, porous material that does not withstand natural erosion by wind. Okay. After a while, it crumbles. Okay. As a result, the cathedral is continually being examined for damage and eroded stones. Dedicated workshop, copies produced constantly. Of course, attempts are made to preserve the stones from the Middle Ages for as long as possible, but at some point, two removed and replaced with new stones. Fundamentally, same operation, except in this case, the production of replica takes place very slowly and long periods of time. In the field of the idea of an unassailable original developed historically in the Western world back in the 17th century, excavated artworks from antiquity. They were not restored in a way that was faithful to the original. Instead, there was a massive original. Okay. It is probably this intellectual position that explains why Asians have far fewer sculpture. Okay. About cloning than Europeans, the South Korean cloning researcher, some person who attracted worldwide recognition, okay, with his experiments, is a Buddhist. Okay, he found a great deal of support amongst Buddhists. Christians banned him, legitimized his cloning experiments. Okay, I am a Buddhist, and some quote he's given about why he did cloning, and okay, the rest of it is the quote about why he did cloning. Okay, cool. Now let me see what the questions are. Questions are where you have to read very carefully and not miss out what is being said at all, okay? So let's look at the questions. Which one of the following scenarios is unlikely to follow from the, okay, unlikely to follow? A 17th century British painter would have no problem adding personal touches to when restoring an ancient Roman painting. Okay. A 17th century French artist who adhered to a Christian worldview would need to be completely true to the original intent of painting when restoring it. Okay. A 20th century Japanese Buddhist monk would value a reconstructed shrine as the original. This is though not true. Okay. I can already eliminate part 3, option 3, because this Buddhist thing is not about the religious part of it. Buddhism was not related to reconstruction, it was related to cloning. So that has nothing to do with this shrine thing. A 21st century scientist is likely to oppose cloning because of his philosophical orientation. Is likely to, this is unlikely to follow, this also. He will be in favor of cloning because that's what we read here, right? Christians call for a ban on human cloning. So these two options are not true. The first option, a 17th century British painter would have no problem adding personal touches when restoring an ancient Roman painting. Would have no problem adding personal touches. We read this, right? That they're fine with doing it. Here, right here, if you read, there was massive intervention in these works. So it's given in the statement alone. So this is true, which means this is also not the option. That means this is the correct option. Option 2. Okay, next one. Which one of the following statements does not correctly express the similarity between this was that some shrine we read about, and this is the German something cathedral, right? Let's see. Both were built. Which one of the following is not correct? Okay. Both are continually undergoing restoration. Yes, they are. Both were built as places of worship. One is a shrine, one is a cathedral. So it's not this. Both will one day be completely rebuilt. Will both be completely rebuilt one day? We read something about this, right? Here, yeah. This completely rebuilt and replaced. This also. So everything eventually will become new. So this is also not true. Both can be regarded as, well, yeah, they were all built in like some 17th, 19th century. So then we will go with option 1. Okay. The value that modern West assigns to an unassailable original has resulted in all of the following except. It is very important that you notice these terms, right? Because you'll end up getting something wrong based on that. It discourages them from simultaneous displays of multiple. We read this, right? That's why they reject and send back the Chinese stuff. So this is correct. As in, they do reject and send back the Chinese stuff. It allows them regular employment for certain craftsmen. I don't even have to go back to the passage for this, because we've read that because it's happening regularly, that means someone is coming and working on it regularly, so someone's getting work. Okay, this is also true. It discourages them from making interventions in ancient art. Okay, again, we are talking about modern West. And we had read that in the 17th century, they were okay with making interventions, not anymore. So this is also not true. It discourages them from carrying out human cloning. It'll be this only. I don't think it's a perfectly correct answer, but going by elimination method, which is my preferred way of going ahead, I think 4 is the correct answer. Of course, when we go through the answers at the end, we'll find out if I'm right or wrong. Let's go to the next one. Based on the passage, which one of the following copies would a Chinese museum be unlikely to consider as having less value than original? Okay, what had they written? They had written something about 2 types of copies, right? Yeah, here. Imitations where difference, okay, small obvious differences. My pen is dropped. Obvious differences, small models or copies. And we're in a museum shop. That is an imitation, and the other one is exact reproduction. Okay, cool. Let's go. Painting. Yeah, this is the possible correct answer. Pablo's miniaturized. No, we said that they had said, right, small and miniatures are the first kind copies. They don't count. Pablo Picasso's painting of Vincent van Gogh's original painting bearing Picasso's signature. No, that will change the painting, right? Again, it has to be an exact reproduction. So not this either. Pablo's photograph. No, that's definitely not true. So then option 1. Okay? So I think that's for the first passage. Let me look at the second passage. Stoicism. How many questions? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's a short passage. Okay, let's attempt this then. Read as I read. Stoicism was founded in 300 BC by someone, survived in Roman era until whatever time. According to the Stoics, emotions consist of 2 movements. First movement is immediate feeling and other reactions that occur when a stimulus or event occurs. For instance, consider whatever some example they've given about Marcus. There's an internal surprise, something, movement, expression. Second is what one does about emotion. Okay, second movement behavior occurs after thinking and are under one's. Okay, the first one occurs as a physiological change and the second one is under one's control. You think and you do it. Again, there's some examples they've given. Seek revenge, actions growing, might have included a plot to seek revenge. Okay. Deference, appeasement, continuing to lead Romans in a way that Marcus Aurelius believed best benefited them. In the Stoic view, choosing a reason. Okay, cool. So basically this paragraph is saying that there are 2 types of emotions that you feel. One is the first one, which is a physiological response. I'm talking fast because I also have a timer going. So the first one is that it is a physiological response that is not under your control. It's like a stimulant response to whatever stimulus is presented to you. And the second one is more under your control. It is thought out and you can control it. And the Stoics believe that this second one that you have should be reasoned and unemotional, as in there should not be like screaming, shouting, fighting, all of that in it. Okay? Then let's read this paragraph. Stoics believe that to live the good life and be a good person, we need to free ourselves of nearly all desires. Okay. Prior to second movement, we can think what is important in life. Okay. Are important. Okay, these aren't okay. So these are some things that are not important. Sex, money, all of that. Characters, rationality, and kindness also not important. Epicureans, some people first associated with some Greek philosopher, held a similar view, believing that people should enjoy simple things, okay, but not be indulgent, okay. Then some guy says that you should enjoy relationship of friends, something. Okay, he's given something about what simple pleasures are. This is the summary, right? in summary, ancient Greek and Roman philosophers saw emotions, especially strong ones, as dangerous. Okay, cool. So it's the same thing that we had decided in the first paragraph, that you have to rein in your emotions and control them. Okay. In the third, so that's my summary, right? That that the Germans and the Greeks and the Romans are of the opinion that you must control your second emotion that you have, and you should not go towards like gratification of base desires like sex and money, but more about kindness and rationality and all of that. Then that same dude we had read about points out that Stoicism is similar to Buddhism, okay? Because Buddha, living in India for the 6th century, argued for cultivating a certain attitude that decreases the probability of destructive second movements. Okay, through meditation and the right attitude, one allows emotions to happen to oneself. It is impossible to prevent this, but one is advised to observe the emotions without necessarily acting on them. One achieves some distance and decides what has value and what does not have value. Okay. Additionally, the Stoic idea of developing virtue in oneself or becoming a belief we could do, because we have a touch of divine, laid the foundation for the 3 monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianism, Islam, as with Stoicism. Tenets of these religions include controlling our emotions lest we engage in sinful behavior. Okay, so this paragraph's summary is that Stoicism is similar to Buddhism, where they said that you have to decrease the volatility of your second emotion by doing meditation and all that stuff. And you can do it because, you know, we all have a bit of something divine in us. I think they've mentioned somewhere in the paragraph. And you have to try to become a better person. And then they have tried to link Stoicism to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, which means they have also linked Buddhism to these 3 religions. That's my basic takeaway from this paragraph. Okay, let's see. Through meditation and the right attitude, this is from the 3rd paragraph, if you remember. It's the Buddhism paragraph, this meditation thing. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Now I'll use pen so that you know. This is the 3rd paragraph. Abhi the upar only we read somewhere. Yeah, through meditation and right attitude, one allows the emotions to happen to oneself. It is impossible to prevent this. Okay, this means that we cannot reject our emotions. That's what it means. But one is advised to observe the emotions without necessarily acting on them. Okay. One achieves some distance and decides what has value and what does not have value. In the context of the passage, which one of the following is not a possible implication of the... Okay, so first, because this is a quote, I'm going to cover the options and I'm only going to look at, and because I can see the options on the screen as well, I'm just going to keep looking at the sentence in front of me. I'm going to summarize it myself. My summary of this is that you cannot prevent yourself from feeling the emotions, but you have to control how you react to them. So it's okay to emotionally feel something as long as you don't have a reaction to it, right? So now let's look at whatever the options are. And again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do elimination method. First one, meditation allows certain out-of-body experiences that prevents us to gain the distance necessary to control our emotions. Yeah, we read that, right? Meditation was one of the examples. Through meditation and the right attitude, one allows emotions to happen to oneself because you can't prevent them, but you have to control your reaction. Okay, this is something like that. You have to control. I'm saying, I said in my summary that you have to control your reaction. They are saying you have to control your emotions. Similar, let's see. The observation of emotions in a distant manner corresponds to the second movement referred to earlier in the passage. Observation of emotions in a distant manner. No, in the passage when they have said that you have to, in the second one, they haven't said anything about it being distant, right? When we wrote about it, they're like, you have to think about it. And before proceeding with it, you have to control your emotion with some thinking. They have never said anything about distance, right? So I think this word distance is wrong. So I'm removing this as an option. Meditation and the right attitude in this instant implies an initially passive reception of all experiences. Okay. No, it doesn't, because again, in the first passage itself, we said that the first emotion that you feel cannot be controlled. I think that's what we read, right? it's an involuntary physiological expression, so you can't control it. And here also they've said it's impossible to prevent this. So I don't think this is like definitely not the right answer. Then emotional responses can make it difficult to distinguish between experiences from valueless that's not what we read. We read something along the lines of we have to consider what is important before we put forward our second expression. So it's not about the response we have. Again, response can be anything. We have to control it and we can consider what is important and what is not, right? Yeah, okay. So this is also not the right answer. Let's go with option 1. I'm doing this live, but I'm very scared that I'll get something wrong and then mera cut jayega, and then people will be like, she's giving advice, but she doesn't know how to solve. Let's see. Hope I'm right. Which one of the following statements would be an accurate inference from the example of Marcus Aurelius? Okay, that's the guy whose name I read, but then I didn't read anything about him. Okay, let's see. So this is an example of a direct question, right? You go back to the passage. Whoever's unmuted themselves, please mute. You go back to the passage, and I had skipped this initially thinking it's just an example, but there's a question about it. So now I'll read the mute yourself, whoever's unmuted yourself, please. Otherwise I will, how do I stop? Suspend participant. Okay. Is my screen still being shared? Or have we lost that as well? Okay, yeah, we have. Sorry, I'm sharing again. And unfortunately, my timer is ticking away. I have less than half the time left. I'll have to skip one passage. Okay. So as I was saying, I had skipped this reading about this particular person initially because I thought that it's just an example. But now that there's a direct question on it, I'm going to read about him more carefully. This time I will read every word. Where's the guy? Yeah, here. For instance, consider what happened. What could have happened if an army general accused Marcus Aurelius of treason in front of other officers? The first movement for Marcus may have been internal surprise and anger in response to this insult, accompanied by some involuntary physiological and expressive responses such as face flushing and movement of eyebrows. Okay. The second movement is what one does next about the emotion. We read this. Second movement behavior occur after thinking and are under one's control. Examples of second movements for Marcus might have included a plot to seek revenge, action signifying deference and appeasement, or perhaps proceeding as he would have proceeded whether or not this event occurred, continuing to lead Romans in a way that Marcus Aurelius believed best benefited them. In the Stoic view, choosing a reasoned, unemotional response is okay. Okay. Now let's look at the options. Okay. Marcus Aurelius was one of the leaders of the Roman army. Yeah, he was, right? We know that. But let's look at all of them. There was a might. I remember reading a might. Here, so this is an example of an extreme statement. I've spoken to you about elimination. Might have included a plot, right? Might is not something that is fixed. That means he could have done this, but there is no confirmation that he did do this. So that's great. I can show you one way of doing elimination. Then Marcus Aurelius was humiliated by the accusation. No, again, we read, they didn't mention anything about how he felt. They gave examples of how he could have felt. Marcus Aurelius was a Stoic whose philosophy survived. No, we were reading about him as an example. We have no idea if he actually was a Stoic or not. So my first option is the one that I will go with. Also, there's a timer on this video. So a timer on this chat on this call. So in 10 minutes when the call ends, or once I do the next two questions, I'll end this call and I'll restart another call, and you can join the same link that I had provided before, and we'll continue from there. I will pause the timer then after I do question 8. Okay. And before I proceed with the other two paragraphs, passages, I'll take any questions that you have. Which one of the following statements, if false, could be seen as contradicting facts and arguments in the passage? In the Epicurean view, indulging in simple pleasures is not desirable. This is also, again, this is a direct question. What have they said about Epicureans? Epicureans believed that people should enjoy simple pleasures. This is the opposite. So this is my correct. I mean, I think this is the correct answer, but let's look at the other options. Despite practicing meditation and cultivating the right attitude, emotions, no, we know that you should cultivate them. That's the whole essence of the third paragraph. In the Stoic view, choosing a reasoned, unemotional response as the first movement is an appropriate. No, this has to be second response. Now, this Greek philosopher Zeno survived. I mean, this is so factual. How do I know? No, he didn't survive. This is wrong. His philosophy survived. So, like I said, the first one is the correct option, I think. Option 1. Again, this is another example of a direct question. Even if you don't attempt the rest of them, you should attempt questions like this. On the basis of the passage, which one of the following can be regarded as true? Okay. Believed in controlling. No, we've read. First response is bad. You can't control it. Second response, you control. This is not true. Stoic influences can be seen in multiple religions. I mean, yeah, that's possible. We did know there's Buddhism, Judaism, Christianity, Islam. There were no, this is wrong. We know that Buddha was there. Oh, okay. At the time of the Roman, okay. Now, this is one more example I can give you. This is an, again, extreme statement and you cannot prove it. There were no Stoics in India at the time of Roman civilization. How do you know? Were you, whoever has written this passage, was he alive when the Roman era existed? How do you know that in the entirety of India, which is so big, there was not a single Stoic? Matlab, you might not have used the word Stoic for them, but there could have been someone who was a Stoic, right? You don't have to go around with a placard saying I'm Stoic, but you can still be practicing the idea. So even if that Buddha example is not true, I mean, I don't know if Buddha lived at the same time as the Roman era, but this is a very extreme statement. No Stoics. If this was something like few Stoics, it is unknown if Stoics existed. All of that is correct. This is the wrong. The Stoics valorize the pursuit of money, power, and sexual gratification. Okay, very good. I love this question. If I were you, I would get stumped and probably not attempt this question, question 8. I'll tell you why. Valorized. I know what the word valorized means, but not many people, or maybe there are a few people who wouldn't know what the word valorized means. And this is where your vocabulary comes into play, right? I know that valorized is linked to valor, which means something that's great, or which is linked to like a strength or something. So I know that this means that the Stoics were, that the option is saying that the Stoics said that you should put money, power, sex in an important position. But that's because I know what the word valor or valorize means. Now, in a situation where you don't know what valor means and you have come down to these two options, 2 and 4, don't do tukka, because valorize can mean both reject. I mean, depending on how your vocabulary is, you can both think that it means rejected these things and also promoted these things. So if it comes to you and you don't know what a particular word means, don't do tukka tukki and just mark it because you think it's right. It's a very well placed option. This is particularly an option that they have placed to confuse you. I, of course, know that valorized is a positive word. So I will mark the correct answer as 2 because I know that 4 is not possible. And if I were doing CAT 2022, I probably wouldn't know this because I learned the meaning of the word valorized like 5 or 6 months ago in a case study that we did on campus. So that's this passage done. Before we started this call, I had 16 minutes left, which is not ideal considering the amount of time that I would have had in the CAT exam. At the end of 2 passages, I like to be at the 20-minute mark. But I was at the 16-minute mark, which means I have taking too much time, which is understandable. I'm trying to explain to you guys as I solve. But since we have the 16 minutes, it also means 2 things. It means that I will not be attempting 1 passage. So I will do 3 passages out of the 4. So you can see how I decide which passage to choose. And I will try to finish VA as far as possible in less than 8 minutes so that I can get back on track in terms of my time. So I will share my screen now. And I have not not stopped the unmute, or I have not stopped the chat button. So if something goes wrong, chat and let me know. What I had said before we started was that I don't like these sequencing order type questions. So I will try to attempt them last. I love summary questions, so I will do those first. When it comes to summary type questions, I read the whole thing very carefully. So read along with me. All that we think we know about how life hangs together is really some kind of illusion that we have perpetrated on ourselves because of our limited vision. What appear to be inanimate objects such as stones turn out not only to be alive in the same way that we are, but also in many infinitesimal ways to be affected by the same stimuli, just as humans are. The distinction between animate and inanimate simply cannot be made when you enter the world of quantum mechanics and try to determine how those apparent subatomic particles of which you and everything else in our universe is composed are all tied together. Okay. The point is that physics and metaphysics show that there is a pattern to the universe that goes beyond our capacity to grasp with our brains. Okay. So when we were discussing this, what I said was that this was wrong because of the word erroneous. The last sentence over here says that it is beyond our capacity to grasp. Just because it is beyond our capacity to grasp doesn't mean that it is something that we understand wrongly. So it's not this. The next one was inanimate world is both sentient and cognizant. Sentient means alive. And we know that the world is alive in the same way as we are, but cognizant means that they think like we do, which is similar to this, affected by stimuli just as humans are. But the idea that someone is thinking to be able to react to stimuli is not the same thing, because a reaction to stimuli is like is something you can't control. It just happens. That doesn't mean that they are thinking and reacting the way we are. So that's also not true. The effect of stimuli is similar in inanimate objects when compared to animate objects or living beings. This is true. But what I had said was this was a narrow summary. Arbitrary distinctions between inanimate and animate objects disappear at the scale at which quantum mechanics work. Let's go back here. The distinctions between animate and inanimate simply cannot be made. Okay? That's what it's saying. Arbitrary distinctions disappear. And it's not narrow because more or less this is what we're trying to say. So I think this is a better summary because this one is an example. This is just an example. This is where the answer lies. Okay, great. It's not that modern historians of medieval Africa have been ignorant about contacts between Ethiopia and Europe. They just had the power dynamic reversed. Okay. The traditional narrative stressed Ethiopia as weak and in trouble in the face of aggression from external forces. So Ethiopia sought military assistance from their fellow Christians in the north, as in Ethiopia weak, Europe strong. But the real story, buried in plain sight in medieval diplomatic texts, simply had not yet been put together by modern scholars. Recent research pushes scholars of medieval Europe to imagine a much more richly connected medieval world. At the beginning of the so-called age of exploration, there is evidence that the kings of Ethiopia were sponsoring their own missions of diplomacy, faith, and commerce. Okay, let's see. Medieval texts have been cherry-picked to promote a view of Ethiopia as weak. Yeah, I mean, they have called Ethiopia weak and in need of Europe's help. Okay. But recent studies reveal it was well connected. right? That's what this means. That's what this sentence is talking about. Much more richly connected medieval world. Okay, so this is a possible answer. Historians were under the illusion that Ethiopia needed military protection from their neighbors, but in fact, the country had close commercial and religious connections with them. Yeah, this is also a possibility of a summary. Okay, let's see. Medieval historical sources selectively promoted the narrative that powerful European forces were called to protect weak African civilizations, but this is far from reality. Okay, this is extreme sentence. They haven't mentioned something so extreme. So we will not consider this as a correct. So when you see words like this, no, far from reality, completely untrue, categorically false, not all people, you can assume that that's not going to be the correct answer. Medieval texts have documented how strong connections between Christian communities of Ethiopia and Europe were invaluable in establishing military and trade links between the two civilizations. Did they say anything about Ethiopians being Christian? Yeah, they did. Okay. Medieval texts have documented how strong connections. No, but it's not talking about. So medieval texts have not said that it was the Christianity that made them like this, right? Medieval texts have said that they needed the help. Medieval texts didn't talk about links or military links. They said that Europeans helped Ethiopians. So this is wrong. Read. Medieval texts have documented it. What we have said is that they were they were not ignorant, but they have the power dynamic reversed, which means that they described this. They didn't describe links. So it's either option 1 or option 2. I'll tell you why. In my opinion, both answer 1 and answer 2 can be correct because they are more or less saying the same thing. I think answer 1 is little more correct because it is summarizing the whole thing. It is saying what medieval texts used to say. And it is also saying how recent studies have changed. So I'll go with option 1. Let's see if there are any more summary questions. Yeah, 21 is a summary question. Let's see. Petitioning is an expeditious democratic tradition used frequently in prior centuries by which citizens can bring issues directly to governments. Okay. As expressions of collective voice, they support procedural democracy by shaping agendas. They can also recruit citizens to causes, give voice to the voteless, and apply the discipline of rhetorical argument that argues a point of view. By contrast, elections are limited in several respects. They involve only a few candidates and thus fall far short of a representative democracy. Further, voters' choices are not specific to particular policies or laws, and elections are episodic, whereas the voice of the people needs to be heard and integrated constantly into a democratic government. Basically, this passage is saying petitions is better than elections because petitions has more people, elections have fewer people, and you need to be able to hear more voices. By giving citizens greater control over shaping political and democratic agendas, political petitions are invaluable as they represent an ideal form of representative democracy. Have they said anything about representative democracy anywhere? No, they have said procedural democracy. If you can, I'll just highlight it. And they have said that petitions shape agendas. They have not said that citizens have greater control over shaping political agendas. But also, this is your biggest, so representative, of course, the word is not there, but your biggest red flag is the word ideal. No one has said that it is ideal. We have said it is better. So I'm saying option 1 is wrong. Petitioning has been important to democratic functioning as it supplements electoral process by enabling ongoing engagement with the government. Ongoing engagement. Integrated constantly. Integrated constantly means ongoing, right? So this can be a correct answer. Let's look at the third one. Petitioning is definitely more representative of the collective voice, yes. And the functioning of a democratic government could improve if we relied more on petitioning rather than holding periodic elections. Ye to nahi bola. They have just said that this is good. This is maybe even better. But they have not said that it would improve democracy in any way. So I'm going to say that this is not the correct answer. Citizens become less inclined to petitioning as it enables vocals. Ye to they have added anything they want. They have not said anything about why citizens like or dislike petitioning. So I think 2 is the only viable option in my opinion. This is one more match, not match the following, rank or ordering the following. What is this? This is releasing the paragraph. We didn't have questions like this. Okay. See, congratulations. I'm solving a question for the first time that I've never seen in my life. A type of question that I've never seen in my life. So what do I have to do? Okay, so, okay, I got it. So this is a paragraph. I have to put this sentence into this paragraph, right? Got it. Having made citizens more and less knowledgeable than their predecessors, the internet has proved to be both a blessing and a curse. This sounds like an introduction or a conclusion, but let's see. Never before has a population, nearly all of whom has enjoyed at least a secondary school education, been exposed to so much information, whether in newspapers and magazines or through YouTube, Google, and Facebook. Having made Yet it is not clear that people today are more knowledgeable than their barely literate predecessors. Okay, option 1 though not true, because here the more knowledgeable part is there. Contemporary advances in technology offered more serious and inquisitive students access to realms of knowledge previously unimaginable and unavailable. But such readily available knowledge leads many more students away from serious study, the reading of actual texts, and towards an inability to write effectively and grammatically. It has let people choose sources that reinforce their opinions rather than, okay. So it's either option 3 or option 4, because this more and less knowledgeable is a summary. In this sentence, they have said how it makes you more knowledgeable. In this sentence, it says how it has made you less knowledgeable. So either this sentence comes here, it has let people choose sources before that, or it comes after it. So now we look at it in a more zoomed in manner and see. Now we'll try to read to see how it follows. But such readily available knowledge leads to many more students away from serious study, the reading of actual text, and towards an inability to write effectively and grammatically. Having made citizens more and both a blessing and a curse, it has led people. No. Okay. I'm going with option 4 for the simple. Okay. So I narrowed it down to 2 options, 3 and 4. And after that, I'm going with option 4 because I think it sounds better. I mean, that's my only available answer as to why I'm choosing option 4. I just think it sounds better. Okay, this is the same thing. Excuse me. Easing the anxiety and pressure of having a big day is part of the appeal for many couples who marry in secret. Wedding season is upon us, and after 2 years of COVID chaos, they say that saw nuptials scaled back. You may think that temptation would be to go all out. Easing the anxiety, no. You would think something, but something else is happening. So this follows normally. But instead of expanding the guest list, many couples are opting to have entirely secret ceremonies. With COVID case numbers remaining high and the cost of living crisis meaning that many couples are feeling the pinch, it's no wonder that some are less than eager to send out invites. Easing the anxiety, okay, this is okay. It maybe 2 is a good fit. Plus, it can't hurt that in celebrity circles, getting married in secret is all the rage. I would definitely say that secret weddings are becoming more common, says Landis Bejar, the founder of a therapy practice which specializes in helping brides and grooms manage wedding stress. Oh, okay. People are looking for ways to get out of the spotlight and improve and avoid the pomp and circumstance of weddings. They just want to get to the part where they're married. Okay, this seems like a full quote on its own, so I'm not going to choose option 4. It's either option 3 or option 2. I'm going with option 2 because if you see here, they are talking about wedding stress suddenly with no introduction to why there is wedding stress. So that's why this whole idea about anxiety and pressure of the big day is a good introduction to that. So I'll go with option 2. Now, I think I'm done with all the summary questions. I'll come back to doing the theta type questions. I'll just look at another passage that I will do right now. Let's go through what is the thinking that I would go through before choosing why I will attempt a passage or not. Stories of the undead have always been with us from, okay. Okay, so this is like a vampire Dracula sort of thing. I like it. Critical theory of technology is a political theory of modernity with normative dimension it belongs to. Okay, I'll tell you, just by reading the first sentence of both these passages, I will not do passage 4 because I think that it is the first sentence itself is very complicated for me to follow, right? Critical theory of technology is a political theory of modernity with a normative dimension. Too complicated. If I had to sit on the actual day of CAT and choose between passages and I had less time remaining, I would not choose that one because honestly, I will feel more interested to read this passage about the undead because I used to love vampire and Dracula stories. So just by basis of the first sentence, I will go ahead and choose this passage. But to make sure that the choice that I'm making is correct, I will also look at the questions. Which one of the following observations is a valid conclusion? Okay, this is like an inference-based question. All of the following statements, if false, could be seen in accordance with the passage. This is a factual question. That's okay. Which one of the following, this is an inference question, best describes, in order to come to which one of the following best expresses the game. So, okay, here. This is probably a question that I could attempt even without reading the whole passage. So I also like the questions that are in passage 3. I'll go to passage 4 and look at the questions. Which one of the following statements contradicts the, okay, I am very bad. I am a debater. And that's why I hate questions like this. So I personally don't think that I would have attempted this question even if it came in that undead wala passage. So inferred as, okay, this is an easy question. I think I can do it. Which one of the following statements best reflects the main argument of the 4th paragraph of the passage? You know what? Even if I don't attempt this passage, I will come back and attempt this question 15 because it is only referring to like one paragraph, which I can try attempting. I personally think that if it's just one question that is referring to a specific part, it's a sitter, right? When I had said that, you don't have to solve the entire passage, you can still solve a part of the passage. That's one of those questions. All of the following can be inferred. This is also solvable. So even not only do I think that reading the undead passage is going to be easier, I also will not attempt question 13 because from my analysis, I know that I always get questions like this wrong because I basically argue anything. So I'm not going to go with this. I will choose to go with the undead wala passage. Let's read. Read how I read, okay? Stories concerning the undead have always been with us. From out of the primal darkness of mankind's earliest years come whispers of eerie creatures not quite alive, yet not quite dead. They may have been ancient and primitive deities who dwelt deep in the surrounding forests and in remote places, or simply those deceased who refused to remain in their tombs, surrounding forests and who remained in their tombs and who wandered about the countryside. Those who were vague and those who were still alive. Mostly they were well ill-defined, strange sounds in the night beyond the comforting glow. Some story description they've given. They were vague and indistinct, but they were always there with the power to terrify and disturb. They had the power to touch the minds of our early ancestors and to fill them with dread. Such fear formed the basis of the earliest tales, of which the source and exact nature of such terrors still remain very vague. Okay, the first paragraph is talking about how there used to be something called undead, who were like not quite dead, but not quite alive. They were probably like ancient people who actually died or who were like deities or something, and they scared our forefathers because they had the power to terrify. And as mankind became more sophisticated, leaving the rooms of forming themselves into recognizable communities, so the undead travel with them. Okay, so this paragraph is about how like cave dwellers, we came from like rock cave, like from rock age, not rock, stone age, sorry, stone age to normal life and to modern life, where we stay in towns and cities. So the undead travel with them, inhabiting their folklore just as they had in former times. Okay, but the undead came with us. Now they began to take more definite shapes. Okay, so earlier they were like dhundla dhundla, now they're more defined. They became walking cadavers. I don't know what this word means. Okay, so if there's a question about like, if there's a question that mentions anything about this word, I'm not doing it. The physical embodiment of former deities, things which had existed alongside man's creation. Some still remain vague and ill-defined, but as man strove to explain the horror which okay. So they were more defined, but they were still scary. In order to confirm their abnormal status, many of the undead were often accorded attributes which defied the natural order of things, the power to transform themselves into other shapes. So, okay, these are examples of some things that undead could do. Basically, they can be vampire, Dracula, read minds, Edward Cullen, etc. And it was only natural too that the undead should become connected with the practice of magic. Okay, from very early times, shamans and witch doctors had claimed the control over the spirits, departed ancestors, and they continue to do. Okay, so basically, in civilized times, apparently there are shamans and witch doctors who can control these undead people. Formerly, the invisible spirits and forces that thronged around men's earliest encampments had spoken through the tribal shamans, but now as entities in their own right, they were subject to magical control. Okay, earlier times, they would speak through these people. Now they can be controlled. So the shamans' power has apparently increased. However, the relationship between magician and undead creature was often a very tenuous and uncertain one. Even then, you can't be sure about what the relationship is. Some sorcerers might have become undead entities once they died with... Oh, okay. That the shaman people actually die and become undead themselves. And then they can also be controlled. So like all their powers disappear when they die. I think that's what the paragraph is saying. From the Middle Ages and into the Age of Enlightenment, theories of the undead continue to grow and develop. Their names become more familiar, werewolf, vampire, ghoul, each one certain to strike fear. Okay, cool. Interesting passage. I like it. I will look for this essay when this attempt is over. Which one of the following observations is a valid conclusion to draw from the statement, from out of the primal darkness of mankind's earliest years come whispers of eerie creatures not quite alive, or alive in a way which we can understand, yet not quite dead either. Okay, without looking, I can't look at the text also on the screen, and I can't look at the options here as well. But the basic idea that I'm getting from this sentence is that earliest years of mankind were like shrouded in darkness, aka we don't know too much about it. So there are these stories that we hear, these random vague stories that we hear about the undead. That's the summary that I'm getting from this sentence. Let's look at the options. Okay, let's see what are the options here. We can understand the lives of the eerie creatures in mankind's early years through their whispers. Oh no. Okay, this is literally what it means, but we aren't going with like a literal meaning. We're looking for a conclusion. They weren't actually whispering in the darkness. That's not happening. So it's not that. Long ago, eerie creatures used to whisper in the prime. No one is doing this really. It is something that happened. This is a manner of speaking. When you say that there is a primal darkness of mankind's earliest years, at least in the passage, it means that in the early times, we didn't have so much knowledge, or we don't have enough knowledge currently about the early years to know what this means. No one is actually whispering in the darkness. Mankind's early years were marked by a belief in the existence of eerie creatures that were neither quite alive nor dead. Okay, this is still possible. Mankind's primal years were marked by creatures alive with... Okay, this is okay, guys. This is a very simple question. You should have got it right. The only thing to understand here is that by primal darkness of mankind's earliest years, they don't mean that the early years were dark. That was not what was happening. It is a manner of speaking. Okay. Next, all of the following statements, if false, could be seen as being in accordance with the passage. Oh, complicated. So this has to be false for this to fit into the passage. Okay. the growing sophistication of mankind meant that humans stopped believing in undead. So if this has to be false, this means that the growing sophistication of mankind means that humans believe that still believe in undead. We're just using this except to make the false statements true. So the growing sophistication of mankind means that humans believe in undead. That's true. So it's not this. The transition from Middle Ages to the age of enlightenment saw new theories of the undead. If this were to be false, I mean, if this were false, this would mean saw no new theories, which I don't think is the case because we still have theories about the whole shamans can call them and all. The undead remained vague and ill-defined even as mankind strove to understand the horror they inspired. Now we have to make this false. So the undead, so now basically then this will become, we know everything. Which is also not in accordance. We don't know everything. The relationship between shamans and undead was believed to be a strong and stable one. To be false, this has to be believed to be weak. Is that in accordance with this thing, with the passage? Yeah, it's a weak one. We know that it's a weak one. So, yeah, okay. I think it is option number 2 is the correct option. Question 11. Which one of the following statements best describes what the passage is about? Okay. The writer describes the way in which the undead came to be associated with shamans and the practice of magic. No, it is not about that. If I were to summarize it, it would be something along the lines of in the past also and now also. The belief about undead is still there. That's more or less what it means, I think. The passage describes the failure of human beings to fully comprehend their environment. The extreme statement. Failure of human beings. Why have human beings failed? And what does undead have to do anything with environment? Like, environment is big circle. Undead is small circle. No. The writer discusses the transition from primitive thinking to the age of enlightenment. No, because the thinking about undead is not yet gone. The passage discusses the evolution of theories of the okay, yes. I think this is the correct one. In order to confirm their abnormal status, in many of the undead were often accorded attributes which defied the natural order of things. Which one of the following best describes the claim made in the sentence? What the claim is? That so that so that we continue to believe that they were abnormal, we gave them some attributes which are not quite accurate, which wouldn't quite exist in the actual world. The undead are deified in nature's order by giving them divine attributes. Okay, we have not said that they are divine. Divine would mean they can like cure sickness and all. We are saying they drink blood. No. According to undead, an abnormal status is to reject the natural order of things. No, we are not saying that because we are giving them an abnormal status, it is against the natural order of things. It doesn't have anything to do with that either. Human beings conceptualize the undead as possessing abnormal features. Yeah, that's exactly what that's the exact translation of the sentence. The natural attributes of the undead are rendered abnormal by changing their option 3 is correct. Again, I didn't even have to go back to, like I'd mentioned when I was choosing this, I didn't even have to go back to the passage to find the correct answer for this. And I had said we will do one more question, which is question 15. Main argument of the 4th paragraph. Let's look at first I will look at the options. Automobiles represent the, where are we? Chapter, also we have 5 minutes left. I will try to wrap this up and then we will do a question answer session. I will end the meeting and you will join the same link again. Which one of the following statements best reflects the main argument of the 4th paragraph of the passage? Automobiles represent the interest in mobility present in human nature. Technology, laws, and customs are not unlike each other if considered as institutions. Technology, laws, and customs are comparable but dissimilar phenomena. Okay, so this one is saying they are not unlike, this one is saying they are same. This is saying they are not same. Technological environments privilege certain dimensions of human nature as effectively as laws and customs. Tech equal law. Maybe that's what it says. Now let's read the paragraph. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here, this one. As an environment, technologies shape their inhabitants. In this respect, they are comparable to laws and customs. Ah, that one. The one where I said they're the same. This one. That's the correct answer. I didn't even have to read the rest of the passage to get it. Like, just it's in the first sentence. Here, they are comparable, similar, same. Correct answer. And we will look at the sequencing questions. These are mostly theta questions, so I will attempt all of them for safety's sake. Of course, we know that there are no negative marks in theta questions, so it doesn't matter if I get them wrong. Anytime, my one advice is always to attempt theta questions, because you will get marks if they are right, and you won't lose marks if they are wrong, irrespective of whether they are easy or difficult. But I always save them for last because I'm not very good at theta. Like the sequencing questions. I'm good at theta, not the sequencing questions. Okay. Let's see. Fish skin, I hate fish. Fish skin collagen has excellent thermostability and tensile strength, making it ideal and for use as bandage that adheres to skin and adjusts to body movements. Collagen, one of the most structural proteins in connective tissues in the human body, is well known for promoting skin regeneration. Diseases and bacteria that affect fish are different from most human pathogens, and fish skin is also cheap and readily available. This makes me think that question 1 and 3, this sentence 1 and 3 will be next to each other. So it will either be 1, 3 or 3, 1 in the setup. The risk of introducing diseases into other species through use of pig and cow collagen proteins for wound healing has inhibited its broader applications in medical field. This makes me think then that 3 and 4 will be related, and that 4 will come before 3. I'll tell you why. So since 1 is coming here, that means this won't be the option. It'll be 4. Because since pig and cow collagen cannot be used, therefore fish collagen has to be used, because fish what is this? Because fish skin is different, the bacteria affecting it is different. Here you have said, right, the disease agents continuation of that is this diseases and bacteria. It's a continuation. So 4 to 3 and then 3 to 1. So now I have to see if 2 will come in the beginning or 2 will come in the end. Fish skin collagen. Okay, then yeah, I mean, it becomes obvious that 2 is the first sentence, because we're talking about collagen, and the whole thing is basically talking about collagen. So I will go ahead and say that my answer for question 17 is 2431. Oh God, this is a mess. Okay, this is another mark. Arrange the following. Let's see. The creative element in product design has become of paramount importance, as it is one of the few ways a firm or industry can sustain a competitive advantage over its rivals. Okay. In fact, the creative element. Okay. So whatever happens, 2 is not going to be the first sentence. In fact, not possible. The value of world industry would be larger scale if we added the contribution of the creative element in other industries, such as the design of tech accessories. Okay. The creative industry is receiving a lot of attention today, as its growth rate is faster than that of the world economy as a whole. This sounds like an introduction. It is for this reason. Which reason? So this is also not the first sentence. So, like I said, 3 sounds like an introduction. So I think 3 is the first sentence. The creative industry is receiving a lot of attention today. In fact, the creative element would be larger still. So 3, 2, then would be like if we added contributions such as the design of tech accessories. It is for this reason that today's trade issues are increasingly involving intellectual property. Okay, maybe 4. The creative element, maybe 4. The creative element in product design has become of paramount importance as it is one of the competitive advantage. Protecting their revenues, 1 before 4. So see, this sounded like an introduction, so I said 3 would come first. There's the word in fact in front of the sentence, so it is not possible that this is the introduction statement. This reason, which reason? Again, this can't be the first sentence. This could be an introduction, but it doesn't seem too strong, so therefore I think 3 was the first sentence. Connecting creative industry and it receiving attention in the world economy is the fact that a creative element could be more strengthened or could have a stronger contribution. That's why 2. Then we're talking about competitive advantage that comes from product design, and because of that competitive advantage, trade issues are increasingly involving intellectual property, because intellectual property is basically things like patents, etc., which go into product design. Hence, my choice for this question would be 3, 2, 1, 4. I've done 21, just 20. Oh, there were only 3 TETA questions in this paper. Or maybe there were more, but there were only 3 sequencing questions. Okay, let's read. Again, everyone's clear with this question. I'm going to the next one. Some company leaders are basing their decisions on locating offices to foster innovation and growth, as their best performing inventors suffered the greatest productivity losses when their commutes grew longer. Okay. Shorter commutes support innovation by giving employees more time in the office and greater opportunities for in-person collaboration while removing the physical strain of a long commute. Okay, whatever happens, 2 and 1 will be together. So it's either 2, 1 or 1, 2. Because they're both talking about longer commutes and why the commute thing should be shorter. This was not always the case. Okay. That means this can't be the first sentence. Clear? Remote work does not automatically lead to great. Okay, so this actually won't come after 1 also. It won't come after 2 also, because we haven't spoken about remote work yet. So we have to find some sentence or some part that speaks about remote work. Remote work does not automatically lead to greater creativity and productivity, as office water cooler conversations are also very important for innovation. Some see the link between long commutes and productivity as support for work from home scenarios, as many workers have grown accustomed to their commute free arrangements during pandemic. Clearly, work from home means remote work. So this is 4-3 for sure. So now we have to decide if work from home wala portion comes before. So is it 4-3 then whatever, or if it is whatever then 4-3? Okay. Some see the link. You won't, I don't think you would be starting a passage with the word like some see the link. Similarly here, I don't think you would be starting the passage with some see the link. Again, I'm just going with like what would grammatically sound good. So I'm going to go with the assumption that the correct answer is 2, 1, 4, 3. Like I don't know any passages or books that would sound like some company leaders are basing their decisions. It would usually start with company leaders are basing their decisions. And similarly, leaders see the link between long commutes. Who are these some people? Some people meaning my mother and my father, or like industry stalwarts. Yeah, I think those are my attempts. I have attempted 1, 2. Let me count how many questions I haven't done. Okay. Here, 16, 15, 14. I have done 3 questions. Okay, so I've attempted 21 out of 24. Okay, so I dealt with the questions that everyone had after stopping the recording so that it wouldn't interfere with this video. For those of you who learned something from this video or thought it was helpful, do let me know in the comments below. This would have been the exact thought process I would have followed in the actual CAT exam if I was taking CAT in 2022's slot 1. So I hope that my attempt explained or put you in the correct mindset to be able to attempt it yourself. If you want me to do one more such session, do let me know in the comments below or let me know on Telegram, and I will maybe conduct another call like this and we can do it together. I am also willing to do the same for quant or LRDI, although I will not probably be as confident or as good at solving quant and LRDI as I am with VARC, because those weren't really my strengths when I took the CAT exam. But I hope that you learned something from this video. I will be posting the elimination video, which is a hot favorite right now. Everyone wants to see that video. I will be posting it sometime this week. And next week, I will be posting the CAT overall mindset last minute mind tricks that you need to remember for the CAT exam. So do stay tuned to that. Other than that, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, join our Telegram family. We're, I think, 700 people strong right now, which is quite a lot. I wasn't expecting such a huge community to move from YouTube to Telegram. And it's really heartful. It's really like hearty to see so many people interacting with each other and helping each other out. I often don't even have to answer the questions myself because people are doing it for me. I'd be very happy if you joined us as well. Again, if you haven't already, do check out my sectional advice videos. I have already uploaded the VARC, QA, and LRDI sectionals, and apparently people are scoring well following some of the advice that's in it. So hopefully it'll help you as well. And you just have 1 month left, I think, less than a month left now for the CAT exam. If there is any time for you to put in your last bit of grit or effort, it is now. Don't quit. Whatever you do, look after your mental health. It's most important that you are healthy and safe. So do take care of yourself, and I will see you next time. Until then, keep studying and bye.